Sunday, February 10th, 2019, and welcome to Flicker Effect. This is episode 282. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this episode is Jascha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everyone. Hey.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Yeah, plenty to talk about this week. We got some movies we've seen. The Lego Movie 2 came out this weekend. A little bit of news. The BAFTAs happened today out there in London.
Yeah, BAFTAs.
So,
I like the BAFTAs.
Do they air the BAFTAs?
They do. I think it's on like TNT or TBS or something like that.
Right.
Or USA. That's what it is. I think it's on USA.
Yeah, TNT gets the SAG Awards.
SAG Awards. That's right. Sorry. Continue.
Anyway, and the Grammys
shout out to
tonight.
Bobby Jackson who couldn't make it today.
Yeah, Bobby's not with us today. One of his rare
man down.
Of the like 3 times in a year that he's like not on the show, I'm surprised that it's only February and this is the first one. I'm like, wow, pulling an early out because he doesn't miss a show.
Michelle's gonna give him shit next week.
Well,
he's definitely gonna have to bring a sick note. He's definitely gonna have to bring a sick note or something. Because I mean, the look on my face. When David said, "Oh, no Bobby today," and I was just like, I don't understand.
Is he dying?
What do you mean?
Right.
Yeah. And it's just, maybe it's just because it is a light news week, and he's just like, well, I don't really want to do it because it's light news. So I'm just not going to show up. It's just like, okay, well, the hell with it then, Bobby. No, but he's missed.
Yes.
What's up, Bobby?
Yes, he is. What's up, Bobby? But in the meantime, yeah. What have you guys been up to this week? What's been going on?
There was a Super Bowl at the beginning of the week.
There was.
It was super boring.
It was a super boring Super Bowl for those of us watching it on TV, but some people didn't watch it on TV. Mm-hmm. Some people were there.
Yeah. Whatever.
I feel like I know where you're going with that, David.
Whatever.
Where are you going
Where am I going with this?
Whatever.
Jascha, you went to the Super Bowl. You were there in the stadium.
Yes. I was there in the stadium sitting on the corner end zone, 35 rows away from the field. It was pretty amazing. Quite surreal.
That's amazing.
The whole experience, it was surreal. It was quite fun. The experience in itself is kind of hard to describe. Everybody's really positive. Tons of security all over the place, which, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't really mind it. And it was crazy. It was a lot of fun and a great time. Even in the game, not being a high-scoring game and not being super offensive, I still found it to be really exciting just being in the building and feeling the energy.
Nice.
Cool. I hear that, so the Atlanta Stadium, like their food prices are actually somewhat reasonable for sporting events.
They are insane. Any given Sunday when they do a regular season, they have they kept their prices for the stadium for food kind of like what they did, I don't know, when the stadium was first being built or when the Falcons first were established. So like in the 80s or 70s or whatever it was, $4 or $5 beers, $2 hot dogs. I bought chicken fingers, fries, and a water, and it was $9.
Shut
$9,
up.
$10. Yeah. And I had people that were like, oh yeah, I bought a beer and, fries or beer and, something to munch on. And it was under $10. Like that's their niche. They wanted to try and make sure that, people really enjoyed it. And that was their niche. And it works. Like, it's really, really cool when you think about it. Like, I mean, there were people walking back from the stands with like a dozen hot dogs, and they're just like, anybody want a hot dog? Anybody want a hot dog? And we're all just kind of like, nah, man, I'm good. Because you came back with like legitimately like 6 to 8 hot dogs because they're only $2. And I'm not talking about, it's like, these little mini Franks or whatever and stuff like that. I mean, like full size, like almost Dodger dog type hot dogs, just regular hot dogs for $2. And it was great.
See, and like that's the kind of stuff like I miss, because like when I was a kid, so my dad and I used to always go to baseball games like all the time, Major League and AAA. Like we were always at baseball games, and like people in our section, you don't even know these people. Like people would literally like you're saying, buy like a dozen hot dogs or whatever. And be like, hey, y'all want what you got? What you need? And like, if somebody went up for a beer, they're like, hey, I can get a tray, so I can hold like 6 to 8 beers. So who wants one? I'll grab them. And like people just did that because the prices were reasonable, and it's so a different era now where we pay so much money for these things. And so, no, like, your neighbor don't got your back because he barely got his. It's expensive now. So I think that's one of the coolest things that I can hear. But out of curiosity, so, you know, the thing about the Super Bowl, you know, on TV was kind of boring for the game. And I'm not a Patriots fan, so it was kind of a snooze fest for me. But, like, I felt like this year the commercials weren't as good as they usually are. And I enjoy Maroon 5. Do not get me wrong. I think they are a great pop rock band. And I think they perform well in concert venue arenas. But I feel like for a halftime show, that was really boring. and I wonder if in the stadium that it felt that way. Like, were you like, man, this is amazing? Because from the TV viewer's perspective, it was a snooze fest and a half. And that's nothing on Maroon 5. I just think they were a poor choice for a halftime show. Like, I want to be wowed. I want spectacle. I want Katy Perry riding out on a lion. I want Gaga from the sea. I want things to happen, you know? And so, yeah, it was kind of lame on our side. So how was it in the stadium?
Oh, no, it was kind of lame all around.
Okay.
When we were sitting there watching it, and we were just kind of like, I was hyped because I was like, okay, this is going to be great. I can't wait to see this halftime show live. This is probably going to be surreal. Like, I'm just going to be blown away. Right. And then I was filled with so much lackluster, I could barely stand it at all. That's like, it was so just kind of blah. Like, it really never had that moment. Yeah. It never really had that moment where you're just like, wow, look at this. Like, they really went above and beyond. Here's my thing. Like, I think Maroon 5 is a fine band. Like, I mean, I've enjoyed some of their music. I think they're very good performers. I also think that the people that want to see Maroon 5 pay to go see Maroon 5. Right. I think for a venue like this, where it's so universally watched across the country, you need to find somebody that's almost like universally liked and loved. Like, it's not necessarily going to be Maroon 5. I'm talking about like something that's electric and like exciting, like maybe an older rock band or something that has just the panache to just be adored universally, basically. Like, you know, finding like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and have them like perform something out there, a couple of their really big hits, right. Or even like a Paul McCartney with 3 other guys that just do the cover for like any of the Beatles songs that you have, or even the Rolling Stones, or, you know, like U2. It's like, these are all bands that are like rock bands that just like wow everybody, and they're just so taken back because this is supposed to be the show of shows, like right. Not just for sports, but for like entertainment in itself, especially when people are performing. And you watch it and you're just kind of like, I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, the most electric thing that you've done so far is take off your shirt. Right. This sucks. Like, well, I mean, you sound spoiled. I sound spoiled saying that. Like, I sound like a douchebag saying that. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, this is, you know, watching Katy Perry like ride in on a lion and then bring out like Missy Elliott, that in my mind, nobody knew she was going to be there. And then she came out and we're all like, wait, is that Missy? And just like, holy shit. Like, everybody just kind of like, everybody was talking about it the next day. I feel like everybody was talking about this, but not in an adoring fan way, kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I guess it was kind of cool. Like, I mean, it was all right. And that's why I think it's like the people that want to go see Maroon 5, they go to see Maroon 5. You know, they pay to go see the Maroon 5. They pay to go see Adam, you know. This is just like, we're all just kind of there, and he's up there singing some songs, and it's just kind of like, all right, yeah, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, like, so the night before the Super Bowl, there's a ton of stuff that happens in the city where the Super Bowl is, right? And one of the major things was a Foo Fighters concert. Like, a legit Foo Fighters concert. And from what I hear from other people, that was freaking off the hook. Like, just insane energy and stuff happening. And apparently everybody thought it was amazeballs. And I'm just like, so why weren't the Foo Fighters the halftime show? And then, like, You know, just like get us the Foo Fighters, get us, you know, like you're saying, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then like surprise the hell out of us with Run DMC for like a hot 30, 45 seconds, you know, like do something really spectacular here, man. This is the time.
Yeah.
This is where you throw down your money.
This is when you pair like Madonna with, I don't know, with like a big boy, you know, and bring out Acast. And like, it's like, holy shit. Is Madonna on stage with like Jay-Z? Like, how does that even manage to happen? Like,
that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Gosh darn it. Anyways.
And, you know, but it's like, it's so funny you say like Foo Fighters, like, okay, this is, the weekend was surreal. Like, our after party was, I'm not kidding. Like, it was probably the best party that I'll ever get a chance to go to in my life. One of them, I should say. And we fucking lost. Okay, like the team lost.
We still had an awesome party.
We still had this amazing surreal party where it was all inclusive food, all inclusive alcohol, like, and we had performers. One of which was Flow Rider. I'm not a huge Flow Rider fan. This venue was smaller than a House of Blues. But I'm telling you, that guy earned his money that night. I have never seen anybody get a crowd so excited for some of his music than this guy. Like, he brought people on stage. He had interaction with the fans. He let a girl, one of my friends, pick up the microphone and sing with him. Like, I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, it was surreal. And that was the kind of energy. Like, this guy turned the entire party upside down. And there are a bunch of people there that work for the Rams, and we're all hanging out, and we're all just in this melancholy state of mind because we just lost. Like, it's an end to an amazing season, and we're all just kind of like, all right, yeah, it's cool. Let's listen to some music. And then he comes up on stage and just completely rips the roof off of the place.
Nice.
Like, you forget how awesome, how much fun his music was. And I'm not even a huge Flow Rider fan like that, but he
brought it.
He turned it out. Yeah, He just brought it. It was amazing. But it's like, that's the kind of energy that you expect to see at, say, you know, the Super Bowl, the halftime show. You know, you want a surprise, you want that surprise, and you want that extra electricity where it's just like you're like kind of blown away and just really enjoying every single minute that they're on stage.
Did you get to do anything awesome out in Atlanta while you were out there, or was it mostly just kind of central to that region where the stadium is and that kind of stuff, or did you get to like see the city a little bit?
You know, we were gonna try, but there were so much traveling going on that we were just like, by the time we got around to like, oh, should we go do something? It was already like 12, 1 o'clock. You know, we're just like,
yeah, I get
we're
that.
going to have such a long day tomorrow. Why don't we just go out for a really nice dinner? And my cousin and I just went out for a really nice dinner, went back to the hotel, had a few drinks, and then called it a night at like 1 o'clock. Like, I mean, really didn't do much. So it was fun, and it was fine. I mean, we found out that one of our favorite steakhouses was legitimately next door to the hotel that I was staying at. So I was like, oh, perfect. It's where we go every time I go visit him in New York. We go to a restaurant out there in the city, and it just turns out that there was one right next to our hotel. So we just went up there and, had a really nice long, dinner and had a couple of steaks and just kind of hung out for a little bit. And we called it a night. And then the next day we started the process really, really early to get everything going.
Cool. Sounds like you had a good time.
It was amazing. Thank you for asking. It was really kind of surreal.
Cool. So other than the Super Bowl, watch anything this week? Or
I finished The Punisher season 2.
Cool.
And I think the jury's still out on how much I liked it. I think I liked the first one much, much, much more than the second one. I did enjoy this one. I felt it was a little predictable, and I felt like they were kind of going with a recipe for the show or for how this character could be. That just seemed a little played out. I don't know if it was something about it, but I felt like I knew where it was kind of going the entire time. And while I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching John Barenthal and some of the characters interact with each other, I enjoyed the first season much, much more than I did the second season. Mm-hmm. But it was still good. I would still recommend it to anybody that is a fan of the Marvel series. Definitely take the time to watch it. Do I think it was as good as the first one? No, I don't. But which is a shame, because some of the other series, it's just, they're damn good. So far, I think the winner still is this Daredevil, because it just got progressively better each season. And it wasn't necessarily the case with this one. I did enjoy it, but it felt like it was missing something. Maybe more of a puzzle piece that, we didn't have, which I understand the cliche of me saying that because the main bad guy is Jigsaw from the show, but it was still, it still was missing a little bit of something for me, but I did enjoy it.
Nice.
I also got a chance to watch Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh.
You guys did a spoiler effect for this one. I didn't listen to it on purpose just because I didn't want to be tainted in regards to hearing what you guys thought of it, but I'm interested to now hear what you think of it. I liked it. I thought it was quirky. I thought it was good. I think there's something seriously wrong with Dan Gilroy, because he comes up with these very obscure, wonderfully tormented characters and disturbing characters, and it's just, everybody was so interesting, and I can kind of see that the personalities really kind of being like that out in LA in this art world, and I just found it super, super interesting. Like it was different. Like I was like, this is kind of crazy. Like this is cool. I like it because when people, since it is kind of like a horror film, I like what he did with, and something that I kind of classify when I'm speaking about Spielberg, when he does something that's suspenseful or kind of scary or whatnot. He shows the brutality and the graphics, or the I lost my train of thought, but it's like the horrible act of the violence without actually showing the violence. And I think that's always very clever when you can basically use your own imagination and watching a film as to how horrible it is, what's happening to the person. I mean, it wasn't super graphic throughout the entire movie. In fact, there was only one very graphic scene from what I can recall, just when one person died and they showed a little bit of blood. But aside from that, it was all very, use your imagination as to how brutal this is going to be or what's going to happen here. And I kind of dig that kind of thing because it leaves the imagination dancing around as to like how obscenely violent it is without actually having to see it. And so many times people get caught up with showing the violence and the brutality because we have the special effects to go ahead and do that. And, we didn't get that with this. We got more of the suspense part of it, and I like that.
Right. Yeah, and I'll speak for Bobby. I feel like Bobby and I were on the same page on that movie. I think we were both mostly kind of ho-hum on it. Didn't really quite work for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, Michelle, I know you had a bit of a different opinion than we did. But I
thought it was fun. Like I took it kind of lightheartedly. I didn't get too caught up in the seriousness or anything. Like I don't know. I had a good time. I thought it was fun. And yeah, like that world, I could see that's exactly how the art world would probably be in LA or New York or Miami. And it would be that level of intensity as far as money and who's in and who's out and how quickly it all changes. And
right.
And so I think it's kind of, but I enjoyed every death that occurred. I thought it was kind of fun. And that sounds horrible. It makes me sound like I'm a weird serial killer or something, but they were entertaining. I was just kind of it's inventive. I could see how each one was going to be from a mile away, but at the same time I was like, yeah, I'm kind of curious to watch this play out. I don't know, but I liked it. I think I'm with you, Jascha. I think I took it at face value and just had a good time with it. So
yeah. And I mean, I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I think working with Dan Gilroy, I think something comes out of him. Like he likes working with him.
Yes.
Because he really gets into some of these. Well, the two characters that I know that he's done, which is, this one and Nightcrawler, which is a really, really dark ass film as well. But it's fun to see. I took it at face value. I enjoyed all the deaths. I was looking forward to seeing how they all kind of happened. And I really, really enjoyed John Malkovich's character, especially at the end.
Yeah.
I won't get into too much of spoilers with that. So it's just leave it as it is. And it was a fun movie. It was fun.
So how about you, Michelle? What have you been watching?
I haven't watched a ton, I'll be honest. I think I've had a really busy week this week. And so like what very little I've watched has mostly been like shows that I know or movies that I know because they're on the background because I'm cleaning or I'm cooking or I'm like I've been doing things. It's just not been a very like, I'm going to sit down and put my focus into watching something kind of a week. But I did today get a chance to see a brand new film in the movie theater. Got to see the Lego Movie 2. What's the full title? Lego Movie 2?
The Lego Movie 2, the second part.
The second part. There it is. See, I should know that. But yeah, I got to see that today, and I liked it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's I will say I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I still had a good time with it. I think the first act I thought it was good. It had some good humor to it. And it kind of brought you into what's happening now. The second act was kind of it droops. It's a little slow in that, but that third act brings you back, and I think was really the best part of the film. And I don't know. I think the humor was kind of fun and lighthearted, but at the same time, kind of a little more on the adultish side. And I say not like it's like edgy, like adult edgy, but it's more like adults will get these jokes. These are jokes that are like things that are happening in the social realm, or they're like jokes between like old married couple jokes kind of thing. Like it's, kind of adultish humor. And I think that was kind of fun. And I will say, like, it's funny because I feel like the main characters for this film don't stand out, but then there's like the side characters, like Will Arnett as Batman. I think is awesome. I think he was a good moment. And then like, as weird as these little like side characters that were used like as weapons on the one side, on the star side, that were like these little hearts and little stars, and they're voiced by kids, and they are so freaking cute. And I think they kind of stole the show because they'd be like, "Oh, hi, I'm so cute. No, you're so cute." And they were it was adorable. It was adorableness overload. I thought it was fun. I had a good time with it. Yeah, it's a kid's movie. You gotta have a good time with it.
Yeah, I saw it too. And, I thought it was fine, but I definitely didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I enjoyed the first movie. And I would say I loved the first movie. I was shocked how much I liked that first Lego movie, but I don't know. I guess, for me, the thing that I didn't enjoy as much as you did with this movie was the humor. I guess a lot of the humor just didn't really do anything for me. I didn't really find myself laughing as nearly as much in this as I did in that first film. And there's some other aspects of the story that I was like, maybe I kind of wish they had done things differently. But for the most part, I think I just didn't find it all that funny. But I agree, like the third act was definitely kind of brought me back in, and I enjoyed the way the movie ended for sure. But I don't know. It didn't quite work for me at the level that the first film did. So,
do you think that you didn't? I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm curious. Do you think that you didn't enjoy this one nearly as much because you enjoyed the first one so much, and your expectations were just so high as to like what this film was going to be and how fun that you were hoping that it was going to be, or eager to see how it was going to be, or anything to that effect? Like, do you think that played into anything when it came to, the movie? Because I know that's happened to me in the past, where it's just like you have these huge high expectations, and then it just doesn't really deliver on what you're expecting. Like, I honestly had forgotten that it was coming out this weekend until I walked by a movie theater and I was like, oh shit, Lego Movie came out this weekend. Like, I felt it was months away still.
Actually, I don't think that's really the problem here. I think what I'm going to say is somewhat similar to that, but it's more like, I think my problem is that a lot of the enjoyment of that first movie was really dependent on, we had never seen this before. We had never been through this before. And it was an experience where we kind of didn't quite know what was happening. And at the end of that movie, it was like, oh, wow, like I kind of wasn't expecting this. This is cool. But with this movie, we've done it before, and it didn't really take us down a different road where it was like, oh wow, now we're doing this different thing now. It's kind of in a way more the same, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so now this movie is really dependent more on what is this plot line and is it funny? Like, and when it came to the funny, I just didn't find it as funny. Now, I mean, some people like you, Michelle, it sounds like, and I'm sure a lot of people, I've read a couple quick reviews, but it seems like some people think it's quite funny. And, you know, I can't begrudge you for thinking it's funny. I didn't quite think it was all that funny. So, but yeah, other than that, like, yeah, the first movie did something which we'd never seen before. And now this is just kind of doing that again, but just a different story,
right.
if you will, like without getting into spoilers. So it's like, okay, like,
right. But if you want to get into spoilers, we did do a spoiler show on it.
We did do, Michelle and I recorded a spoiler effect for that today. So as of the time this is out there, if you're listening to this, it is released. So yeah, you can go check that out on our website. And it's a separate podcast feed if you're curious. You can find it in Apple Podcasts. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I guess I just didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping to enjoy. It's kind of where I am. And real quick, I mean, now that we're on that subject, I'll bring up box office numbers real quick. It definitely did not perform as well as Warner Brothers was hoping.
I don't think the promotion behind it was as strong as it was with the first one. That was kind of my thing.
Yeah, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of like kind of buzz and excitement around it. I agree. I don't feel like there's been a lot of marketing. I guess Warner Brothers was anticipating a $50 to $55 million weekend. It came in at 34.4.
Ooh.
52 worldwide, but 34 is not a good pull.
Ooh, no.
No, not so great.
Ooh, no. Especially because it's like it really didn't have anything to compete against this weekend, really.
Not
and
really.
the thing is I think either next weekend or the weekend after, as far as like kids movies, family films, next weekend or the weekend after is How to Train Your Dragon. So quickly that will, as far as family films go, will trump that. I would say.
Right, but yeah, that first movie pulled in $69 million in its first weekend, so that's a decent drop off, like from the original to the sequel.
Yeah. Again, I don't think marketing was there on this one. I really don't think. I don't think marketing was there. That's just my opinion.
I don't think marketing was there, and then I think the marketing that was there, I will say, watching trailers for it, I thought they looked amusing. Like you point out like the kitty kind of Duplo stuff and the cute.
I like Unikitty and the Duplo stuff.
And I'm agreeing with you. Like that stuff in the trailer was like, oh, this is kind of cute, funny, but for the most part, I will say those trailers, I was like, I'm not like, man, I don't have super high hopes here.
Right.
Like, other than the fact that it's the Lego movie and I loved the first one so much. And it was, Lord and Miller didn't come back to direct, but they did write this movie.
Right.
And produce. So I was like, oh man, so far everything they've touched has been pretty amazing. And I was kind of had maybe some expectation there, but I don't know. Yeah. So it underperformed certainly in Warner Brothers' eyes.
That's all right. So. I will say I have one gripe, and it's not for the movie. My gripe is like, so we go to see this kids movie, and you know me, I really do enjoy watching trailers. I'm sitting there, and we had your kids with you today, right. And so it's a little bit of a different experience, and they were really well behaved. But let me just preface this by saying, like, there was like 20 solid minutes of trailer before the freaking movie started. Now, for an adult film, I go in expecting that. But for a kid's film, you're talking about kids. How long? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. 20. 20. There was a ridiculous amount of trailers before this kid's film. And granted, they were all kids' trailers. But I'm like, dude, you're losing the audience here. You're losing the focus group that's happening. Like at one point your kids turned to both of us and they're like, is the movie gonna start?
Oh yeah, my son had already before we were like 4 trailers away at that point from this movie starting, and he was already like, oh, is it gonna start yet? He was really like getting kind of annoyed himself. He's 6.
I was like, how many trailers can you put in front of a kid's film?
And then there was definitely that, a couple points where I'm like, oh, this has got to be it. And then the last couple trailers it plays, yes, definitely you would think kid-friendly movies, but they even pulled away from the animated stuff, and they did a trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home, and then the Shazam trailer.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, now you're just even getting more trailers that are going to be even less. My kids are going to be less interested in.
Right.
You know, come on, like
it was like, dude, throw down 3 kids trailers. What are the next 3 kids films coming out? Okay, so you got Dragons, you got Pets Life 2, and I don't know, the adventure park thing, right? Throw them down and then start up the movie, dude. These kids have an attention span of like nothing. So like, and their kids were really good, but it was just so, I was annoyed. I was like, for the love of God, just play the damn movie.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Oh, it was ridiculousness. Sorry, I just had to bitch about that. It was
no,
really kind of annoyed me today. And like your kids were really good about it. That's what was really funny about it, because I think you and I were annoyed and they were annoyed. We were just like, good, just play the movie. Just play Legos. But
yeah, I will say, you know, speaking to the box office, like we went to an early showing and it is a Sunday, but still, I don't know, like a 10:45 a.m. showing. It was an IMAX, like
for a family-friendly film.
For a family-friendly film, when you would think, okay, most people are going to bring your kids to an earlier showing, and it was, I mean, it was pretty quiet in that theater. It was not a lot of people in there, and I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, I expected a bigger draw
here. It's basically like dead center of like the dead center of 4 rows, and that was it. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
So what else did you do this weekend, David?
What else did I do?
Yeah, somebody had a birthday this weekend.
Did you see anything else?
Did you watch anything? Did you watch anything? Did you hear anything?
Well, I didn't watch anything on a screen really, other than my continuing Game of Thrones marathon leading up to the new season. Other than that, I finally saw Hamilton on stage.
And heard the music for the first time.
Yes. So, yeah, for those who don't know, like I've been resisting listening to the music from Hamilton, not because I'm not wanting to hear it. Just I was definitely taking the perspective of, hey, you know, one day I'm going to see this on stage, and I kind of want to have an experience of having not heard the music before, especially considering the last time I had done that, I had seen a show. It turns out I hadn't listened to the music, and I really enjoyed that experience. That was Book of Mormon. I'd never heard that music before, and when I saw it, I was glad I hadn't heard it, because there was stuff that happened in that musical that I was just like, it really caught me off guard. And it was a really great experience. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do that with Hamilton. One day I'll see this. I'm not going to listen to it. And Michelle, yeah, you know, you're obviously a huge fan, and I've been like, do not play it around me. I don't, you know, one day I will watch the show. It may be a while because it costs an insane amount of money to see this, and it's super popular, but one day I'll see it. So it's finally here in Orlando. I think it's got like a week left, maybe, of its run.
Yeah, I
it's
think
here
it's
for a while.
It was here for like, I think technically it's like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's a decent run.
It's a decent run here for us, because sometimes we only get them for like 2 weekends and they're gone. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling a show like Hamilton, when it stops at a city, it's stopping longer than a lot of shows.
Yeah, it's living there for a while.
So, yeah, saw Hamilton this week, and there's no doubt, like, this is also a game of, like, it's like you already talked about earlier, Jascha, it's the expectations game. Like, this is a show that is just has people like in hysterics in terms of their fandom for this, and it's hard not to go into this like, wow, like in my lifetime I have never seen a show with this kind of excitement around it. So like I was really walking into this like, I really have to temper my expectations here. Like I have a bad feeling. I'm going into it really expecting to just be completely blown away, because this is apparently like the best musical ever. And I will say, it is a fantastic show. I'm not kidding. It is a great show. At the same time, like, did I walk out of it going, this is a great show, everybody, but we could also calm down just slightly. Like, you know.
We could also calm down slightly.
I mean, and I'm saying that, and I don't want to be misinterpreted here. It is a great show. It really, really is. But it's just, that's just a result of like, in my position, and I don't know, maybe a lot of people feel the way I do, and maybe a lot of people don't, who are going into it so late in the game and seeing it and experiencing it for the first time. But I have to imagine a lot of people would feel like me, that, okay, like when you hear nothing but just like, oh my God, insane praise, and this show is making just a ridiculous amount of money and is being treated like it is the second coming of Christ, and then you walk into it and going, yes, this is a really great show, guys, this is really good, but I mean, the amount of money people are spending to see it, I would have to say to most people, if you're like sitting there going, man, should I really drop like $500 a seat on this? And I'd be like, this is a really great show, but I think you could wait a little bit. Like it's, right. That's a lot of money to be spending on a show. I will also say too, going back to the whole, like, not listening to the music beforehand, I really enjoyed my experience doing that with Book of Mormon. With this, part of me kind of wishes I had heard it. And Bobby brought this up on another episode of Flicker Effect, because he finally had decided to start listening to some of it, because he was in the same boat as me. He and I had talked about it, I think, once off air, and he was like, yeah, no, I'm also not listening to it. And then we brought it up recently, and he was like, oh, actually, I decided I've already started listening to some of it. And I guess a friend of his saw the show and said he had wished he had heard some of it, because a lot of the rapping and singing is so quick. It can, if you're hearing it for the first time, especially in a stage environment where it's definitely not going to be the audio quality of you sitting at home listening to it on either headphones or speakers, it can be harder to understand every word coming out of their mouth. And yeah, I found that to be the case. Like really early on in the show, I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is going to be interesting. I really need to focus on what they're saying. Part of me kind of wishes maybe I'd heard it before. And especially a show like this, where, I mean, we're telling a story it's one of those things. There's no real spoilers here, right? Like, come on, this is the story of Alexander Hamilton
and Aaron Burr.
It's been a while. I mean,
there's been a milk commercial about this. Like, it's a thing. People know how this turns out.
So in that sense, it's like, you know what? Maybe to those who are also doing the same thing that I did, where I wasn't listening to it, I might go, you know what?
At least once.
Maybe check it out. Like, I don't think it's going to ruin your experience. I mean, for instance, Michelle, you had been listening to this for a long time,
right?
And you had never seen this before, so you saw this week for the first time. Like,
I visually saw this for the very first time,
right.
And I will say, so when Hamilton first came on the scene, it was a thing. Like, people lost their ever-loving minds, and I basically waited to hear it because I was like, maybe I'll wait to see it. And then I very quickly realized, I'm like, I'm never going to get to see this show for a long time. Like, it very quickly dawned on me once the Tonys came around that season. I was like, oh wow, yeah, I'm never going to get to see this show. I was like, I need to just listen to it. I'm like, I need to give up on this like dream of seeing this show, at least, anytime soon. I'm like, if I really want to know this show, I'm just going to listen to it. So I wound up buying it on iTunes pretty quickly after the year it came out at the Tonys, and the Tonys, and it won all those Tonys. And after that Tonys, I was like, all right, I'm just going to listen to it. So I've been listening to it now for quite some time, and I enjoy it. But I remember the very first time I sat and I listened to it, and I will say I was smart. Like, it was basically like a Saturday or a Sunday. I was at home. I wasn't really doing anything. I was reading or doing whatever, like maybe cleaning, a little like baking or something. But I was basically listening to the show from front to end the whole time. Whole show. And I kind of went, okay, that was really good. That was really something. There's a lot of energy here and I really like it. I'm going to have to listen to this a few times. Like what's happening, but you're missing a lot of like jokes. You're missing a lot of innuendo kind of things, foreshadowing for later. Like, there's a lot that's happening in the rap and in the story that's going on within the songs. Like, it's layered. It's heavily layered. And I quickly realized, I'm like, this is going to have to be a thing before I really feel comfortable with this show. So I've been listening to it for a long time, and it's got a special place in my heart, and I really like it. So I was losing my ever-loving mind going to this show the other night. Like, just geeking out so hard. My excitement level was insane. And I feel really bad because David is like, I'm losing my mind, and he's trying to keep his expectations a little low. And I'm like,
I'm doing everything I can to be like, David, just don't expect to be an enlightened human being when you walk out of this film or musical.
Like, before we went in, I literally was like, we're not meeting Jesus. I was trying to be like realistic here. I was like, we're not meeting Jesus, but I'm really excited.
Right.
But I will say, like, as far as a Broadway show goes, it is extremely inventive and ahead of its time. There's things that they do, and I will say, for a set that does not change. And I've seen Broadway shows, and I know that some of them literally only have one shift after the intermission, and that's it. This show has no set changes.
I mean, there's obviously pieces being moved around here and there and props, but for the most part, it's...
You are using your imagination
right.
most of the time here, like 90% of the time. Having said that, it is one of the most inventive layouts I've ever seen. And their blocking and their staging is so creative and so ahead of where I think a lot of other shows are. That's what makes it so interesting to watch. And that and the performances, these people freaking love what they do. You can tell. They love what they are doing right now on stage. And so the energy is really high and the songs are so good. And I don't know. Unfortunately, like David liked it a lot. He was very happy with it. I was blown away. Like, I was like, this is like, I've always had Wicked has been my favorite that I've seen in person. This is officially surpassed Wicked. Like, that was there. Oh gosh, it was just something. Having said that, the performances were so good. There was only one performance that was really good. But when I compared that one performance to every other performer on stage, I felt was lacking. And the sad part was, it was the gentleman playing Alexander Hamilton, the lead. And he was really good. I'm not trying to discredit this gentleman at all. He has a ridiculously hard job. I would never in a million years try to be in his shoes. But the guy playing Aaron Burr, the gentleman who's playing Lafayette and Jefferson, the women playing the Schuyler sister, like, insane. They were just, oh God, killing it. It was so good. And yeah, I was very happy with this. It's funny because Dave and I didn't really talk a lot about it afterwards because I feel like there's so much to digest from that showing of seeing this stage show. But we quickly were like, yeah, the performances were really good. Alexander was good, but everybody else was better. That's just how it was. So, but I've been singing it in my head for days, like, just dancing around in my little head, and I was just so happy to be in the room where it happens, and it blew me away and everything. I got all the little Hamilton one-liners now. So happy. So happy.
I will say too, being again someone who hadn't listened to the music ahead of time, and all I hear is that it's like basically a musical, but it's a rap musical, right? Like that's what I hear. So going into it, I was like surprised how much actual more traditional musical kind of singing is happening in this. Like, it's not just like a straight up like hip hop concert, I mean, but based on things I hear, part of me was like, so I wonder if there's actually a lot of singing in this, or if it's just straight up kind of rapping, and that's not the case.
Well, and I think a lot of it is that when you think of Broadway and you think of traditional Broadway, rap is not something you usually think about being in a Broadway show. And I think that's one of the aspects that made everybody go, what? This is so new and fresh. Oh my God, this is amazing. And rap in Broadway is not like non-existent. It's just not a forefront for 40% of the show, let's say, right? Maybe, Lin-Manuel for In the Heights started kind of bringing it in. A couple other people started bringing it in, but for the most part, it hasn't been more of a focus. And this is the first time that you can go to a show, and I could easily say 40% of the show is rap. And I think that was one of the major aspects that everybody thought was just so cutting edge, for a Broadway show, mind you, to do for most of it. So.
Right. But yeah, I think, and I guess this is a testament though to how good this show is. Like, you know, looking at, for instance, a listing of the musical numbers, which I happen to have right in front of me right now.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot in both acts, and they're basically equal. But that second act of the show, like when it ended and the show was over, I was like, wait, this is the end? It feels like we're 30 minutes early. Like,
yeah, it goes fast. That second act goes quick.
I'm like, it's over now. Oh, okay. Like, just kind of caught me off guard. But anyway, I thought the show was great. I don't want to sound like I'm at all complaining about my experience. I think, again, if there's a somewhat negative tone to my opinion, it is purely from a expectation perspective.
Right, from all the hype that everybody has.
All the hype. And right. I mean, and I'm saying this too, like, I love musicals, but sadly I do not have a ton of experience with seeing shows live. Like, I've listened to a lot,
right,
but I will fully admit I don't have a huge background in terms of seeing a lot of shows actually on stage, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's part of it, but yeah, great show.
Yeah.
Don't go in debt to see this show.
No, I have to agree. Do not go into debt to see this show. It is a fabulous show, but it is not worth $500 a seat ticket. That's insane. Like, right. Again, you're not meeting Jesus.
Right.
Like, let's keep things in perspective here. Like, it is still a show, but it is a really good show. And again, like, I've only seen a handful of Broadway shows, but I will say, like, I've seen Wicked on stage twice. Both times were spectacular show performances, and this one still edged it out. I was just like, as far as a stage show goes, it's executed extremely well, and Wicked is really executed very well as well. I've seen a couple others too that are really good, but my top two for sure are those right now. Like, gotcha. hands down. I will say I'm kind of proud that I now have your children singing Hamilton. It makes me giddy inside.
You do. My daughter today at the table, like, starts, like, I forget what she was kind of singing, if you want to call it that. She's kind of, and at first I'm like, what did she just say?
It's from the song called My Shot.
Right. No, I know. It's just at the time I'm saying, like, at first I'm like, wait, what's happening right now? Oh wow, yeah, she's singing Hamilton. Okay. Anyway,
I have your kids singing Hamilton songs.
So yeah, that, other than Lego Movie 2, that's really the only other thing I watched this week. I watched nothing else new. Yeah, that's what I got this week. Yeah. Real quick, I guess any new stuff, if we have some time. The BAFTAs were today.
Apparently the Grammys are going on right now.
The Grammys are going on right now. I feel like I don't know.
I'm such a loser. I'm not hip to music anymore. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm a musician. I love music. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on the Grammys. Some years I'm like, oh, I'm kind of interested, and I'll decide to watch it if I'm not doing anything. But in terms of award shows, and
is it like the Golden Globes of music for you?
No, it's not like that. I think it's more like when it comes to the world of music and trying to go, hey, you are the best for this and best for that. It's, to me, that's really hard to go, yeah, like, you are better than all these other people. Like, it's just, it's harder to compare in a way. Like,
right.
But I guess if you're going from the perspective of, you know, hey, in terms of record sales, like, you've proven yourself.
The Billboard Awards.
Right. But I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, the Grammys are happening as we record.
But the BAFTAs happened earlier.
BAFTAs happened earlier. I mean, I'm not going to go through like every winner, but Roma won Best Film. And also Best Director for Alfonso Cuarón.
Oh, he got director?
Yep, he got director. Okay. Original screenplay was The Favorite. Adapted screenplay was Black Klansman.
Ooh, sweet. That makes me happy.
Lead actor was Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and actress was Olivia Colman for The Favorite. And I believe The Favorite won a few awards. Also supporting actress Rachel Weisz.
Nice. Cinematography?
Cinematography went to Roma.
Oh, okay.
Cold War was nominated. I know that's your and mine other kind of big cinematography pick, but yeah, Roma won.
Man, it's I'm happy and sad about that. Anyways.
Yeah, the favorite also won costume design.
That doesn't surprise me.
Makeup and hair.
Also doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's what I got in front of me. Oh, and Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated Film.
Nice.
It's good to see.
That is good to see. It makes me feel better about my options for Oscars, which, by the way, is in 2 weeks. Kids.
Oh, well, that's 2 weeks away.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, Oscars. Oscar 24th.
Do we have a host yet for the Oscars? I don't remember.
Actually, I'm pretty sure as of this week, it is official that there will not be a host. They are going hostless.
Okay.
I'm wicked curious to see how this goes down. Mostly just for the opening at this point. Like, the rest of the show doesn't really matter, quite honestly, but I got to see how this bad boy opens. I have to see how this opens. The first 20 minutes.
In terms of the host thing, and I think I've talked about this on here before, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but I'm curious to how they handle the no host thing, but I think it's going to be fine. Like, I really don't feel like a host is necessary with the show. The thing that I'm starting to get worried about, the more and more I hear about they really apparently seem really driven to make sure this show sticks to like a 3-hour schedule and is not too long.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get that probably the extreme majority of viewers are not like us, and they're just the general audience that watches it, but hates how long it is, and they want to go to bed because they got to go to work the next day. I get it. I know I come from the perspective of I don't care. Like, I just like watching the Oscars. It's one night a year. If it's long, it's long. It's always long. It's just, for me, that's how it is.
Yep. I go into it with the mentality of knowing that I could possibly be awake till 1 a.m. on a Sunday night before I go to a job. Like,
right.
I literally, and I'm talking like, I've gone into it with that mentality since I was a kid. Like, my mom would let me hang out with her on Oscar night, knowing full well I had to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning to go to school the next day. And she's like, if you want to stay up, you can stay up. But you cannot complain the whole day tomorrow to me about being tired. And I was like, okay, like that was the deal. She's like, you could stay up for it. That's fine.
Right.
The one time you really could stay up, other than like New Year's, you can stay up, but you cannot complain about it. So I made it. I was like, okay. And so I'd always make it through knowing like, okay, tomorrow's going to suck, but I'm going to do this. It's like, it was like a challenge when I was younger, and it's still kind of a challenge now in adulthood. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm super going to wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. and shower and then go to work and do a full day, and everything's going to be awesome. That's what coffee is for. Hurrah! You know, like I just go into it knowing that's how it's going to be. Kids, it's the Oscars.
Yeah, so I don't know. The more and more we're hearing that it's like, oh man, they are really trying to stick to the 3-hour thing. I think it was this week where it came out that, I forget what news outlet, I don't have it in front of me, but that there's probably going to be some categories that they will show in the broadcast, but they're going to give them away like during the commercial breaks, and then probably like edit them into the show. Which means, you know, that's going to be like your probably your shorts and your sound awards and stuff. Like, it's just like the more and more I hear stuff like that, I'm like, man.
Those are the people that are working really hard for that too. Like, stupid hard.
I mean, I will say that when I first saw an article referencing that, this, of course, the way titles on articles are, it definitely worded it in such a way. I think it was even in the body of the article that they were just going to not show them and it was going to be during the commercial breaks. But then I went to the source, and indeed it was like, they're going to do it during the commercial and they'll include it still on the telecast. And I'm like, but yeah, still, how are they going to handle that? And I'm concerned. I have a bad feeling this show is going to feel like rushed and.
Well, see, that concerns me because I remember a few weeks ago, they were like, oh, we're only going to sing like 2 out of the 5 nominated songs. I'm like, what the frickety frack?
Yeah, that's the last I've heard.
But no, the new update is they're going to do all 5 songs now. But now they're going to do the 5 songs, but not show the winners for some other stuff. What the? Like my head's exploding right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
I have a bad feeling about the show. But again, not because of the lack of hosts. I just have a bad feeling.
Right. It's not.
In other respects.
The reason why I'm saying I'm excited for the beginning is because I'm hoping maybe they'll harken back to like doing something fun, video montage-y kind of thing of the year at the beginning. It'll be cool. And then they'll go into the awards, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not worried about there not being a host. I'm just curious to see how they're going to start the show off. But that makes me sad that they're so concerned about the timing of it. That really just pisses me off.
I'm sorry to upset you.
It's okay. I have wine to comfort me later.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
It's coming up soon.
It is coming up soon. Man, we're going to have to do our Oscar pick soon.
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
Dude,
we got to do our next episode, I guess. We'll be doing our usual wager every year.
What is our usual wager? Who's going to buy dinner at the end of a
Well, usually it's a Comic-Con, except we probably all won't be there.
Right.
So I don't know how that'll work. We'll figure that out.
So what else happened in news this week? There's only a few. It's not a major news week, but there was I feel like there was a good two.
No, not
two
much.
Other things.
And I mean, we are running out of time, but I mean, I don't know. Real quick, we found out that David Fincher's World War Z sequel is not happening.
Which I know you're super excited for. Thank God. I know you're happy it's not happening, is what I'm saying.
Right. And I want to say, like, because, yeah, we've talked about this in the past, and I was not a fan of the idea of David Fincher directing a World War Z sequel. But what I mean by that is I love David Fincher. I think he is easily one of the most, talented directors currently working right now. I love his films.
No, you think extremely highly of him, but you are not a World War Z fan.
I wasn't a huge fan of World War Z, and I mean, sure, if David Fincher's making a zombie movie, I'm like, okay, cool. But he's making a World War Z sequel, so a sequel to a franchise, I'm already like, ugh. Like, I mean, sure, the sequel I would like to think would have ended up being really good. But I'm taking the perspective of, man, this is David Fincher. He could be doing anything else, like
right.
an original piece of film. Like, I'd rather him see him do something like that. I don't want to see him make a sequel to a franchise I don't even care about. Like, so yeah, when I found out that indeed, I guess Paramount pulled the plug on the sequel, sweet. He can move on to doing something I might actually care about. So
I think Jascha's going to like this little bit of news. So Westworld heads back into production next month for season 3, which will be out in 2020.
Oh. Okay.
Well, because I know you really loved you liked the first season, but they kind of were like meh, and then I guess we're gonna try to watch it again. I remember you were like, I like it, but I don't like it. But I feel like you're very conflicted on this show. So now I'm trying to figure out, like, where are you? Like, have you rewatched the first season? Have you watched the second season? Where are you, Jascha? What's happening here?
I still haven't finished the first season.
Oh.
I have I think the last episode of the first season. I don't know what happened, but I just missed it, and I just never went back because I didn't feel like I was missing anything. It was like I was still very torn. And it's like, I know we've all had that conversation where, you're just sitting there like, oh, I feel like I should be missing something, but you're just not completely engrossed in the episode and the show. So you're just kind of like, whatever. And that's kind of how I felt. Like, I'm just like, whatever. I just didn't watch it. I just didn't watch the end of the first season, and I never started the second season.
I'm halfway through season.
I'd like to, because
yeah. Go ahead.
No, because everybody has constantly expressed that I would really enjoy it, and you guys have told me several times that I should. I just haven't. I've just never done it. I just haven't done it. So
I'm halfway through. I'm halfway through season 2, and I like it. But I will say I'm halfway through season 2, and it's been over for a while. So something's happened where I've lost a little bit of pull for it. But I feel like I have time now. I can actually restart season 2, watch all of season 2 before season 3 comes out in 2020. So that makes me feel good on that note. But I know some people that love Westworld are kind of like, I have to wait how long?
Well, yeah, it was a longer than normal break between the first 2 seasons, and it's not surprising to me it's going to be a longer break again, which is fine for me too, because I'm also behind, and I'm over here rewatching Game of Thrones, so you can see where my priorities lie.
So Game of Thrones note, kind of, sort of, not really. But so a show that you like, David, and I think, Yash, you like it too, is Legion. So Legion's coming back for season 3, but it's going to be its final season.
Yes.
And then a dude that was in Game of Thrones a million years ago.
Yes.
For like 4 episodes. 6, maybe. I think technically 6. Is going to be playing Professor X in season 3 of Legion. What's his name? Harry Lloyd.
Yes, played Daenerys' brother in Game of Thrones.
He's going to be Professor X. I could see it.
I could see that.
I can see it.
Yeah, when I saw that too, I was like, okay, yep, I can see that.
I buy that. I'm down with it. I'm the X-Men girl, and I like me some X-Men stuff, and I really enjoy Legion. I actually... I'm also halfway through season 2 of Legion, and I need to finish the second season of Legion too.
Yeah, I will fully admit this. I'm going to make no sense when it comes to my perspective on Legion because I haven't finished it. But I also find it to be one of the best shows I've seen in a while.
It's fascinating.
And that makes zero sense because if indeed it's one of the best shows you've seen in a while, why in the hell haven't you finished it?
You would think you'd blow through it, right?
Right?
Like,
and I have no explanation for my logic that I haven't finished that show. But
just blame it that you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
It's the best excuse.
I got 2 kids, a full-time job. That's all I got.
Right.
And I'm busy
with
rewatching Game of Thrones.
I really need to finish. I almost need to rewatch the first half of the second season of Legion because I really like it, and I'm really looking forward to more Legion. And it's almost sad that it's only going to be a 3-season show, but I will say there's a lot that happens in this show. It's almost.
I'm looking
overload.
forward to starting it. I didn't get a chance to watch it when it was first airing, but they just released it on Hulu, so I will definitely. I just saw that, so I'll definitely power through it. Like I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, Legion.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a show. I would also say though that, and I'm not saying this toward you, Jascha, or other people, but like it may not be for everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like
weird.
I don't mean it's like it's too smart or anything. It's just it's weird.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird.
I've definitely talked to friends who I will agree with them on a lot of things, and they were turned off by just kind of how unconventional it is. And I'm like, well, stick with it.
You know that. Yeah, that's something that I think we talked about on the show, and I talked to Bobby about it as well, because at the end of or to the middle to the end of every single episode of the first season, I always had the question is like, do I want to keep watching this? Like, do I really need to keep watching this? Because this is weird as hell. Right. Why am I still watching this? And then something would happen where I would really be sucked in, like, okay, I'm going to watch next episode. And then, I had this conversation with Bobby. He's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. He's like, but if you watch, this YouTube channel, they explain what's going on and what this is and what's going on. I was like, and my response to that was like, why do I need to watch a whole nother show to understand the show that I'm watching? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
No,
like,
I'm with you.
I'm not going to watch a 15-minute, synopsis or diagram or breakdown of the show that I'm trying to watch just so I can understand what I'm watching. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I was like, I should be able to put this together whether I'm a casual fan or a diehard fan. I was like, that's really where it comes down to this is in watching the show. Is like, and he was like, yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense. There's really no reason why you should have to watch that. And I was like, exactly. I'm interested, and I'm they have my viewing and my ratings, but it's like, there's no reason why I should have to watch a whole nother show just so I can understand this show.
Right.
My last question to you both is, what were your thoughts on the trailer for Shaft?
Oh, the Shaft sequel, or what is it titled?
Shaft.
Just Shaft? Was the first one with him just Shaft?
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
See, now I'm confused.
I know. I'm pulling up IMDb right now.
I guess it's like Halloween. Halloween was just Halloween.
Right. Okay, but what were your thoughts on Shaft?
I'll say real quick, I actually was surprised how good it looked. Like, and I'm saying this, I never saw that first one with Samuel L. Jackson.
I didn't either, the one from 2000, and it's also just called Shaft, by the way.
So they're both just called Shaft?
They're both just called Shaft.
That's
I was
weird.
looking it up right now just to see if that's what it was called, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's just Shaft.
So
Yeah.
if you read
It's just
IMDb,
Shaft.
if you read IMDb, it says John Shaft Jr., a cybersecurity expert with a degree from MIT, enlists his family help to uncover the truth behind his best friend's untimely death.
So yeah, what this film is going to feature 3 generations basically of Shaft. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. I thought the trailer was really entertaining. I'm kind of all in on it at this point. I dug it.
You dug it. You dig. You dig, man.
That was not on purpose.
I couldn't help. I'm sorry.
I know. Anyway,
I'm playing Bobby today.
that was a good Bobby. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go. You go. I asked you guys, so you tell me.
I'm looking forward to it. I was really excited when they did the first one, and it was a lot of fun. The first one was really good. I enjoyed it a great deal. I was kind of bummed when I heard that they weren't going to do a sequel like right away, but that was most notably because I think, and they released this, Samuel Jackson did not get along with John Singleton, who directed the first one. Like, they did not like each other, and it was just a point of contention of being on the set with each other. But I'm excited to see that Tim Story took over this role and is going to be directing this movie, because I like some of his work. I enjoyed the first Fantastic Four movie that he did. I'm not talking about that disaster of a movie that was released a few years ago. I'm talking about the one that was done, I don't know, it was what, 10, 15 years ago, 2007, 12 years ago, 13? Rise of the Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four was in 2005.
Yeah, 05. And then Rise of the Silver Surfer was in 2007. So
See, and I like Barbershop, and that was his earlier stuff. That was what, 2001, 2002?
2002. 2002. So, I mean, yeah, I like Tim's story, and I think he does a really good job when he tells a story, for lack of a better way of saying it, and does movies. So I'm interested to see how this movie comes along and how this plays, and I'm looking forward to it. And I really dig the whole. I like the idea of the family coming together, and actually this guy being kind of a nerd opposed to his dad and grandpa being basically cooler than cool. So this should be a lot of fun to watch.
I agree. It's funny because at first it's like, really? They're doing another Shaft movie? And I say that, and I like Shaft, but I was like, really? I had no idea this was happening. I was like, did we need this? And I'm watching this trailer going, yeah, this is the movie I didn't know I needed this year. Kind of like what is it? The Bodyguards, the one that Sam did with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Hitman's Bodyguard.
The Hitman's Bodyguard. There it is. It was like the film I didn't know I needed, And I was like, no, this is great. And I think that's what this is going to be for me this year. I think this film is going to be, it looks funny, and I'm in. I think it looks good. I think it could be a good ride, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that one. Well, with that, that's going to do it for our show this week. As always, we'd love to hear back from everybody. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at @flicker_effect. And we are also on YouTube at youtube.com/flickereffect. So you can find us everywhere, basically, is what I'm saying. With that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Jascha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.